Welcome to the National Park of the tomb of the prophet Samuel, Nebi Samuel, which is probably one of the most rare places in the world that are holy for Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and it's not even too far from Jerusalem, so lots of surprises are waiting for us on the way. One of the most exciting things about this place is that archaeological excavations show layers over layers of eras that took place here. It's as if you take a chocolate layer cake, you cut it in the middle, and you can see layers one over the other. So, for example, we have an old mikveh, ritual bath from about 2,000 years ago, or this furnace, a Muslim furnace from 1,300 years ago. A whole street from the Hasmonean period, which means from the times of the Second Temple period. On top of the mountain, we have a gorgeous fortress from the times of the Crusaders, which means it's about 900 years old. In it, there is a mosque from the Ottoman period, which is about 400 years old. And on the top, we have the minaret, which is from the British Mandate period, which means that it's about 100 years old. Where else in the world can you find a street that was preserved for 2,000 years, where you can see the fronts of the houses on all the cisterns? And no, you're not mistaken, I'm actually in a jacuzzi that was built in a wall that is 2,000 years old. The Bible tells us that the prophet Samuel was the son of Anna and Elkanah, and he was born in a city named Ramah, which is here. Well, that's what the tradition says, for about 1,500 years now, from the times of the Byzantines. The interesting thing is that this tradition was even stronger about 900 years ago, when the Crusaders not only believed that he was born and lived here, but he was also buried here. Now, they had another tradition that his burial place is in Ramleh, another city, but they said, Ramleh sounds like Ramah, but it's definitely not the same, so they moved the prophet's body from Ramleh to here, to Ramah, and ever since, this became such a holy and important place that Crusaders back then, 900 years ago, built this gorgeous building, and it was restored by Muslims, Mamluks, who lived here about 900 years ago. The tomb of the prophet Samuel is holy for the three religions, and that's why we have a Crusader church that has a synagogue in it and also a mosque. And that is why there are two sinks for the Jews to wash their hands before they go into the synagogue, but also another sink over there for the Muslims in order to purify themselves by washing their hands and their feet before entering the mosque. So let's go into a church that is now operating as a synagogue, but also as a mosque. For centuries, you could have seen Jews, Christians, and Muslims coming here to pray next to the tomb of the prophet Samuel. But then 900 years ago, the Crusaders came here and built this beautiful church over the tomb. Okay, so where is the tomb? As common in Crusader churches, the tomb itself is not on this level, but at the basement of the church, which means in the crypt. But then years have passed, and the Muslims came here, and they also wanted to worship Prophet Samuel here. So they built a tomb up here and built this niche, this mihrab, facing Mecca as a mosque. But then more years passed, and in 1967, after the Six-Day War, this place became part of the state of Israel. And now Jews wanted to also pray here. What do? You have a mosque, you have a synagogue. How is it going to work? So the Muslims moved the tomb of the prophet Samuel into here, and now it is operating as a mosque, showing the tomb up here, and the Jews pray down there at the crypt next to the original tomb. So we have two tombs actually here, one for Muslims and one down there for Jews. Why is this place so important? When you read the biblical story about the prophet Samuel, you see that his mother Hannah was a barren woman for many years, and she prayed to have a son, and she succeeded. And therefore, this place became a place for barren women to come and pray for children. When we read the diaries that were written by pilgrims that were on their way to Jerusalem in the many last centuries, we see that this spot is one of the most exciting one, and that is because this is the first spot on the way where they could actually see Jerusalem. And until today, if we look out there, we can see the ridge of Mount of Olives and also the area of the Old City. If I would have been here 900 years ago, I would probably see convoys of pilgrims coming up here in order to get to the top of the mountain. They would come to this very spot in order to send their donkeys and horses to the stables, and then by foot they would have gone on these 3 arches on a long stairway in order to get straight to the church of the tomb of the prophet Samuel.